Hey, I'm Mark. Looking forward to the Christmas break and the college football playoff at the end of the season. Looking to see if Cincinnati can hang with the Blue Bloods, Notre Dame, Alabama. Those are going to be some great football games. Reminiscent of the old BCS games with Utah giving a beatdown to Alabama. TCU beating Wisconsin. And Boise going hook and lateral and Statue of Liberty to beat Oklahoma. It's gonna be... what? Ohio State and Clemson are the top four. Not undefeated Cincinnati? But Clemson has one loss and Ohio State's only played 5 games. Texas A&M is 5? Florida's 6? Cincinnati's number 7 in the CFP poll. My God, who's running these things? Well, here we go again. Another mid-major freeze-out. Let's see what's going on here. Let's go rogue. The CFP this week is getting ready to release its third poll. Number 1, Alabama. That's a shock. 9-0, prepping for the SEC championship game. Number 2, Notre Dame. 10-0, and getting ready to play Clemson in the Atlantic Coast Conference championship game. Number 3, Clemson. 9-1. Their only loss to Notre Dame. And their chance to get revenge coming up in the ACC championship game, this time with Trevor Lawrence at the helm. Number 4, Ohio State. 5-0. Their best win is over the mythical number 12, Indiana. But how good is Indiana? Indiana's a nice story, but they deserve that number 12 ranking. Number 5, Texas A&M. 7-1. They have a good win over Florida, but got smoked by Alabama. They have played down to the level of inferior teams, beating winless Vanderbilt 17-12, beating LSU 20-7, and beating Auburn 31-20. Number 6, Florida. 8-1. They have lost to Texas A&M and a good win over Georgia with its mythical number 9 ranking. One wonders how good Georgia is, though. Number 7, Cincinnati. 8-0. Next game, Tulsa in the American Athletic Conference Championship game. You have a number of wins against your American Athletic Conference mates that had just recently cracked the top 25 and then left after you beat them. But there are considerable problems that I see with trying to put together a 14 playoff here in 2020. And they all work against Cincinnati. Let's take a look. Issue 1, the CFP ranking. It's all about a team's ranking in the college football playoff poll. But on what basis are teams being ranked? Ohio State was the AP number 4 before it even took a snap. Last week, Wisconsin was 2-1 and ranked number 16. They had schools that had 3 and 4 times as many wins as they did. Well, with 5 teams in the top 25, the B1G must be a better conference, right? How do we know that this year? There have been no out-of-conference games to gauge which conference deserves the benefit of any doubt. How do we know 6-1 Georgia is better than 7-1 Iowa State? Is the CFP just assuming that the SEC is better than the Big XII? Based on what? History, I guess. But there's no empirical evidence to show that one conference is better than another. The CFP is just guessing. I've seen a lot of crap football being played in the SEC this year, including a kickoff that only went 20 yards and got a head coach fired. I've seen a lot of crap football being played outside the SEC as well. Issue 2, beating bad teams when the pollsters think they're good. I noted that when Georgia beat Auburn, the Tigers were 7th ranked. This week, they're unranked. SEC teams climb quickly through the rankings because of the perception of the team's wins gets overblown. Georgia beat number 7 Auburn, therefore they must be, top 5. 3 weeks later, Auburn's unranked, and Georgia is still in the top 10. Florida beat Georgia, so they must be Damn! Indiana beat Penn State early when the Nittany Lions were 8th ranked. Indiana must be a top 10 team. Now Penn State is unranked, and Indiana benefits from beating a bad team when people thought they were good. Number 3, number of games. Here's the crux of the argument. The 12-game college football season is a grind. The continual pounding taken by players wears on a team come week 9, 10, or 11 in November. By that time, many schools are using sophomores and burning red shirts in order to fill a roster on Saturday. Cincinnati started their season on time and has gone through an 8-game gauntlet. Ohio State and the B1G started late and still have relatively fresh rosters after only playing 5 games. Issue 4, the unconditional love for Ohio State. Unconditional. The B1G and the College Football Playoff Committee will do everything it can to keep Ohio State eligible. Before the season started, the B1G said that in order to play in the B1G championship, teams had to have 6 wins. Ohio State currently has 5. I just saw that Michigan is canceling its game against Ohio State this week because the Wolverines are having to deal with COVID. Will the B1G bend the rules so that Ohio State gets to play in the B1G championship and carry their conference's banner into the CFP with 6 wins? When the B1G reversed itself and announced that they were going to play the 2020 season, Ohio State went from being unranked to being number 6 with 4 first-place votes without playing a game. 4 weeks later, still not having taken a snap, Ohio State moved up to number 5. The same week, Penn State jumped Cincinnati in the polls, still having not played a game. Based on what? Did they kick the crap out of the bags in practice? Did their receivers run perfect routes against air? Who knows? The next week, Ohio State finally played a game, beating unranked Nebraska and moving up to number 3. Nebraska, by the way, is currently 2-4. Nothing says move 2 places up into the CFP top 4 like playing 1 game and beating a team that's now 2-4. Oh, too late to correct that now. So, in lieu of those points, what empirical evidence do we have that Cincinnati is deserving of a higher ranking? Maybe one inside the top 4. Well, first of all, record. Granted, Texas A&M's 1 loss to Alabama, Florida's 1 loss is to Texas A&M, Clemson's 1 loss is to Notre Dame. But I wonder how really great those wins are. That takes me to secondary wins. How good are your opponents? Notre Dame's 10-0 looks good with good wins over Clemson and North Carolina. Those 2 are the only teams that North Carolina played with winning records. In fact, Duke, South Florida, Florida State, and Syracuse all have 1 win apiece. Notre Dame's secondary record is 32-57. Florida's opponents are combined 25-42. Texas A&M's are 23-36. Ohio State went from being unranked to number 3, then to number 4, beating a slate of teams that are combined 14-19. In spite of the loss to Notre Dame, Clemson's opponents are combined 31-41, a .431 winning percentage. Cincinnati's opponents are combined 27-31, a .466 winning percentage. Better than every other team in the CFP poll except Alabama. Point differential. How good are you in game? Texas A&M, they scored 251 points and given up 177. A point differential of 74 points. Not much for style. Ohio State has scored 233 points and given up 116. Florida has scored 381, but they don't play much defense, having given up 223 points this year. Notre Dame has scored 377 and given up 171. Cincinnati has the highest point differential at 208, scoring 327 points and playing good defense, only giving up 119. Alabama's outscored its opponents by 276 and Clemson is outscoring its opponents by 277. So when you look at the empirical evidence, the University of Cincinnati is just as good statistically as the teams around them. Will the CFP deny the Bearcats a place in the college football playoff? Of course they will. Who are we kidding? The CFP will take 6-win Ohio State over 10-win AAC champion Cincinnati. It's all about the dollars. It's all about who brings more eyeballs to the TV set. And that is 6-win Ohio State. Oh, and it's about protecting the blue blood programs and dodging the potential embarrassment by the upstarts. By freezing out Cincinnati. Is it right? Of course not. It's like those Molly Ringwald movies of the 1980s. And Cincinnati is the teenage Molly Ringwald. Only this time, she must stay on the other side of the cafeteria with her own. The group of 5, and away from the cool kids. And at the end, Molly Ringwald doesn't get to kiss that one guy with the Porsche. Or the other guy. And in spite of being statistically equal to the other teams in the CFP top 4, Cincinnati gets relegated to playing in the Consolation Bowl. Hey, am I right? Let me know in the comments below. Am I full of hooey? Are you from one of those blue blood schools that say Cincinnati needs to stay on their side of the gym? Are you from one of those blue blood schools that say that Cincinnati and Boise and Central Florida need to stay on their side of the cafeteria? Hey, I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. If I did it right, you did both. I had fun, but I won't quit my day job. And the next time you're watching a group of 5 school that's putting it to a Power 5 school, hey, remember me. I'm Mark Haggard. I'm a history teacher, and I've gone rogue.